All right, Andy, we've gotten through most of week one. Fantasy dreams are in shambles. Fantasy teams are crashing by the wayside. People need to pick some folks up on the waiver wire. Why don't you hit me with your first guy this week?
Yeah, I think one of the top priorities this week is going to be Jeff Wilson. Eli Mitchell's injury is a thing. That's going to be a couple of months. It's an MCL sprain. Wilson is the closest thing they have to a direct replacement. He's not Mitchell exactly, and yes, he's going to have to contend with Debo Samuel, and yes, he's going to have to contend with Trey Lance at a bunch of rush attempts, a bunch of designed runs. But still, we're talking about a player who's probably going to get 14, 15, 16 touches a game. We've seen him have big weeks in the past. It's not necessarily going to be a situation where he just rattles off one 80-yard week after another. But I think his big weeks are going to be multi-touchdown affairs. I think he's going to be a guy that we're going to be flexing. You can think of him as an RB2 moving forward. Jeff Wilson is going to get a lot of run over the next couple months.
What is old is new again. We're picking up 49ers running backs off the waiver wire, where we've seen this story before. And same goes, honestly, for my guy, Curtis Samuel. It is time to add Curtis Samuel back to your fantasy teams. I have been waiting to see him fully unleashed by Washington basically since they signed him. He was hurt all last year. Well, he's back. He's healthy. The guy was clearly involved as a number two or three receiver, depending on the formation. But honestly, they got him the ball early. They got him the ball often, both through the air and on the ground. Listen, if you're in, a league that starts multiple receivers, you absolutely have to be adding Curtis Samuel. I know it feels weird, Andy, to be excited about a Carson Wentz offense, but these three receivers, McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, also a pretty good add too, and Curtis Samuel, these are good players, and I think Samuel at this point, widely available, needs to be on fantasy benches.
Oh, I agree with you. Samuel looked exactly like the guy we saw a handful of years ago, a couple years ago in Carolina, looked like the 1,000 scrimmage yard version of Curtis Samuel. He was electric. He's a great ad. One other guy I want to talk about simply because we have the Dak Prescott injury to fret about. Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston now has 8 starts for the New Orleans Saints, and he's thrown 16 touchdown passes, only 3 interceptions in those games. He's the guy who gets to throw to Michael Thomas, Jarvis Landry, Chris Olave. It's a great situation for him. I see a bunch of multi-touchdown weeks moving forward. If you're just looking for a set it and forget it quarterback to replace Dak Prescott, I think Jameis is probably your guy.